So I just decided to make this video impulsively just then. I wasn't actually going to make a video, but then I just felt like doing this for some reason. I was getting quite depressed about my sleep disorder, and not necessarily the sleep itself, but how it affects my life and how it makes people and society treat me. I'm also hoping by making this video I can attract, if I don't really get many impressions on my new channel, but if anyone has a sleep disorder, I would really like to hear from you, and I'd like to create a space where we can talk about these topics without, people harassing us. If anyone harasses you, I'll turn into a dictator and just remove them from the comments. But basically, the worst thing about having a sleep disorder, it's not necessarily the pain caused from the lack of sleep. It's the way society treats you like a piece of garbage. Even doctors, even psychiatrists, supposed to be intelligent. When I explained my sleep disorder, I was treated with complete contempt. Like I'm just, you don't want to get up, and it's like you don't understand. I can't sleep. I can stay up a whole day, just a whole day. People who've known me, I've had this also in relationships, I can stay up the whole night, no problem. So people say I'll just get up early. It's like, well, yeah, but I'll stay up the whole day, a night, and still not be able to sleep. Like, it's messed up. And yeah, the doctors will say, take some pills, and then I'll go and take those pills, develop a tolerance, and then, as a result, take more pills, because they'll let me do it sometimes. And then after a while, they'll say, but you take all these pills. It's like, well, you told me to take it. Talk about gaslighting. I mean, I only take a small amount now, but I have, I take various amounts depending on the severity of it, but it's just, a lot of life is very structured, right? And you sort of got to go certain places at certain times. And that's really unfortunate, because even if you do brute force it and just force yourself, up at a certain time to go somewhere, the problem is for people like me, and maybe you guys or anyone listening, is that when you have a sleep disorder, my cognitive capacity drastically declines if I'm sleep deprived, like drastically compared to my normal output. I know this for a fact because when I was a little kid, I don't know, maybe I was 10 or something, I can't remember how old I was. I had 2 IQ tests, right, from 2 separate places. And one of the IQ tests, I remember I had slept very well that day, and I scored ridiculously high, particularly on the speaking segment. And then I had this other IQ test. We drove a couple of hours away to a specialist doctor. And I remember doing that IQ test and failing it. But they knew that my first IQ test was really high. So they didn't, I think they said something like, it's impossible to rank me because the difference was high. I was a kid, so I can't remember. I'm just recalling this based on what my parents have told me as well. But I remember I was very, very good in one IQ test to the point where I was in the top 1%. And then the other IQ test I was very low in. And particularly they did a mathematics thing and my brain was tired. And it just made me think, in the working world, you're expected to conform to their schedule. I happen to be very, very creative. And so for me, constraints tend to ruin my creativity. If you tell me, I gave this example in another video, if you gave me, a whole bunch of money and said, I'd like you to find the top 500 US companies and pick which ones you think are going to grow a certain percent long term or whatever, I would have no problems researching that, options trading, any crypto, anything. I have no problems doing these things in my own time, in my own pace, on a day where I've slept the right amount. But if you put me in a merchant bank or, I don't know, Wall Street or something, and sit in this little chair every day at the same time with things buzzing, and I wouldn't be able to do it. If I'm sleep deprived and there's people around me, this is why I think I might have autism as well, I'm not sure. I'm sort of just unloading my life here on this channel, even though, I'm not really getting views, but I've got YouTube disease, I might make a video on that. But, if I was uploading, how do I say, if I was, in Wall Street or some big bank trying to do options trading, I wouldn't know how to do it. My brain shuts down. And this is one of those things about life that's very depressing. You're sort of only loved in this world if you can conform. Unless, of course, you're born into a whole bunch of money, but I'm not allowed to say that, but it's true. Doctors and psychiatrists and people in general hate it when you bring that up. It's like, yeah, by the way, if you were born into a whole bunch of money, this doesn't matter. My sleep disorder, it would still be annoying, to be honest, but it wouldn't be, it'd still be bad, but it wouldn't be life-ruining, if that makes sense. I really think it's sort of ruined my life. I might go on one day to make a whole bunch of money, but it's still done a lot of damage to me, and it still does do a lot of damage to me, and it affects everything in my life. Just the idea of, for me, going to a hospital freaks me out, because I think, how am I going to sleep? And I'm even concerned about getting an anesthetic, because what if I don't? I mean, I have such high. I mean, I can take sleeping pills and not sleep. That's how messed up my disorder is. And I'm concerned that if I was to get an operation, I might wake up, because I have read that that apparently can happen. Although my father tells me it's practically impossible, but I don't know. Doctors always love to just gloss over these things, but whatever. I was about to say something. What I was trying to say was, because I have such a high tolerance, sleeping pills don't even really work long term for me either. So it's very, very depressing. And then you're reliant on these medications, and then if you go off them, you can't sleep, even worse. And then doctors give me a hard time about it too. So, I get prescribed certain pills, and I get them I don't take them every day, but certain ones I don't take every day. And then when I go to the doctor, they sort of go, "Oh, you're taking those pills." Oh, I was like, oh my God. Look, I don't want to take this crap. I just can't sleep. And then, anything that does help, there's strict regulations. What's crazy? Right? I don't drink alcohol. I've obviously tried lots of, I've done it in the past, but I've never liked drinking. I don't drink alcohol, to be honest. I don't like it personally. No judgment to anyone who does it, but I don't personally drink. But I always found it crazy how you're allowed to just walk into a shop and just buy alcohol. It's fine. But if I want some, medication for sleep, horrible, horrible. How dare I? How dare I want to sleep peacefully, Because that's the thing. It's not even like, so you have a sleep disorder. You struggle to, work properly because of those constraints. When you want medication for it, you're also the bad guy. I mean, a lot of medications also have the side effect that makes sleep harder for me. So for example, antidepressants, I don't take them at the moment, but I've tried them in the past. They made my sleep worse, but then doctors didn't want to acknowledge that. And this world's such a nightmare, honestly. This world is just such a nightmare. When you can't sleep, everyone just sort of looks down on you, treats you like crap, and you're lazy, which, I really believe laziness is just a made up term. I think that people have often mental health, or they don't know what to do. Or for me, some days I work very hard, other days I don't. And the days that I don't work hard are because I'm just so overwhelmed, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to make money, I'm trying to do all these different things. And when nothing appears to work, my brain shuts down. And then the doctor says, that's executive dysfunction. And I say, no, it's not, because when I want to work hard on something, I actually do it. Despite having ADHD, I can actually do stuff. But the problem is, when I feel there's nothing, no reward, or there's no way out of this nightmare, that's when I start to shut down. But doctors don't want to acknowledge the reality of this. And in anthropology, they talked a lot about this, the medicalization of personalities. What if I'm a person who just wants to be creative? I don't want to do Microsoft Excel. I always pick on Microsoft Excel because it's like the most depressing thing in the world. Honestly, after Offices, Microsoft Excel, even though I get the use of it, I understand what to use it for, it's just, I think it's so depressing. It's like the most miserable thing. Humans evolved. No, the little, what are they called? Tetrapods. Tetrapods got out of, lakes and the ocean, evolved onto land, so then humans could, evolve just to use Microsoft Excel and pay taxes. It's like the most depressing thing in the world. It's like being alive. This is what you are. You just, and if you complain about it, you're the bad guy. That's the thing, when you have a sleep disorder, everything's compounded. So if you already can't sleep, there's a lot of stress that's going to be behind that when you have to work. For me, it would eat away at my job performance due to my sleep problems. And no one's ever sympathetic to me. If I had cancer, this is the thing, I'm not trying to say anything negative about this, but if I had cancer, it'd be like, fair enough, If I lost my leg or something, then I'd be fine, or if, I don't know. Honestly, I honestly feel like people who are alcoholics get more sympathy, or criminals, they get, I have tried to tell so many people in my life about my sleep disorder, and it's just, I get met with just contempt, you bastard, you don't want to get up early. It's like, dude, I can't sleep. My body does not, I think I have something called something arousal insomnia. I forget the name of it. Yeah, I think it might be hyperarousal insomnia. Obviously, no one looks in, I went to a sleep clinic, and the guy there, he was so mean to me about my sleep condition. I explained to him my problem. He's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Because I sleep around, my body sleeps at weird times just because my brain needs sleep. If it needs to sleep, I'll just go and sleep. I got desperate. And then I've tried to explain this to this sleep specialist, and he was like, that's ridiculous. That's when professionals, honestly, that's why I say they're not, I'm sure there's good ones out there, but even professionals that have been nice the moment you like challenge their opinion, they don't like it. They don't like it. Doctors do not like it. They like to be treated like gods. Like, no, I'm so smart, I'm a doctor. Yeah, maybe you are smart, but like on a common sense level, you're not smart, to be honest. I come from a really like, my family is very medical, so I've seen firsthand just how, doctors can, like I know what doctors are like, let's just put it that way. And they can be very smart in their little field, but then outside that, they just don't get concepts. My friend he had severe schizophrenia. He's actually the one who turned into a work zombie because he just changed once he got this job. But he was, doctors always sort of were like that to him too. He would always explain to them, look, he's medicated, and when he's medicated, and then but sometimes he still has sort of panic attacks or whatever. And I don't know what he calls them, like panic attacks or something. He has like a thing where he gets a bit paranoid, and I don't know what you call it, but that's what he gets. These acute episodes, whatever. And he would tell the professionals, oh, by the way, I have these random panic attacks or whatever they were called. Yeah, these random episodes he would have. Not psychotic, just he would get very paranoid. And he would tell the doctors this. And the doctors would say, okay, so at what time does it happen? And he would say, look, it happens any time. It can happen night, day. What triggers it? He says, look, nothing triggers it. I just get paranoid. And I've been around this guy. Like I know what it's like. It's completely random. Just things happen to him. He gets triggered. I don't know. And he can never answer to the doctors the question. And then they would sort of get annoyed at him. Like, oh, well, what do you mean? Like, you don't know when also he's schizophrenic. So of course he's going to struggle to remember it. But it's traumatic. But when I went to one of my doctors, I literally told him, because he gave me some test. It was like like a questionnaire. And as soon as he gave me this questionnaire, I said, listen, this is not going to work on me because, I'm very situational. So in a good situation, I'm different, and also context matters. So he gave me a whole bunch of questions. It was like, do you feel stressed under pressure? And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? I ended up convincing this guy I was right. He actually sided with me at the end of this. I said to him, look, if I get into a boxing ring, that's pressure, but I love it. Being slammed by Olympic wrestlers and stuff, like that's the pressure, but I love it. I've been out, and there's been crazy things happening, and I don't even get bothered by it. People can be, yelling at, like I'm very calm under like legit sort of life or death pressure. I don't know how to explain it, but then under like if I have to use Microsoft Excel, I have a meltdown, right? That's probably an ADHD thing, I don't know. I'm just being honest, I have no idea. But then I explained to him, look, under pressure, what is the pressure? Because you're not, in that stupid questionnaire, you're not defining what the pressure is, right? If the pressure is, some guy in a ring is, throwing lots of punches at you, like, that's pressure. But you see, most people would be, how do I say? Some people would be terrified of the ocean, but then other people scuba dive 200 meters down into a cave, right? Look, what's pressure? Pressure is so subjective. This is why I don't like the Myers-Briggs test. I don't like the questionnaires they give mental health people, because I tried to do these tests and they're just not applicable, because my life is so situational, and so I'm a unique person. I don't fit into a box. That's not me trying to be defiant. It's a fact. They ask all these other questions like, do you feel bad about yourself? And I would say, well, no, it's just I feel bad about my physical situation. And there's all that, no, that's you feeling. I'm like, no, I feel bad about my inability to become financially successful at this point. That doesn't mean I hate myself. But then the problem is if I say I like myself, because the truth be told, I do like myself. That's the problem. And when I say that to people, I like myself, even though I'm a failure, people don't like that. They're like, oh, that's narcissistic. You can't like yourself. I'm like, well, I'm very intelligent. I can, at the same time, I do kind of think it would be easier to be normal. But in this world, if you have the ability to love yourself, then that's bad. You're a narcissist, apparently. But then if you hate yourself, or you've got low self-esteem and no one will love you, which is another myth that society loves to say. It's not true at all. When I first met my ex-girlfriend, I don't think she liked herself at all, to be honest. She was very not confident at all. And I built her up as a person, so she left the relationship very confident and very happy. And I was, for a fact, that disproves that stupid myth in society that because people can hate themselves and someone else loves them. That's completely stupid. It's a stupid thing. I mean, it's just not true. So many people in their lives don't like themselves, but then someone loves them. Like, people have partners and boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, husbands, whatever. People in their lives, they have friends, they have, might have kids or parents. Or people can like people who don't like themselves. Society's full of crap. I can't stand society. Just wait till you see that video I'm going to make about my uncle getting messed over by the government. That'll really explain to you why I hate society. But what I'm trying to say is, you can't really win in society. It's sort of like, unless you're normal, but even then you don't really win either. So, whatever. But yeah, having a sleep disorder, it feels almost impossible to win in this world without making money, because there's a lot of things I can do very, very well. I'm good with sales, I'm good with psychology, I'm very good at marketing. I'm actually very good at writing ads and stuff, because I used to work in marketing. And I've been told by people who are rich people that I'm good at this. So I'm not just saying this, I've been told objectively that I'm good at it. And I sort of take their word for it because they're not lying, they're being honest. I'm bad at other things, but what I'm trying to say is there's things I'm really good at. But if I apply for a marketing job, for example, and I just explain very politely, look, sometimes I can't sleep and I'm not very smart that day or whatever, they don't accept that. It's like, oh, I gotta be... That's the thing, there's all these jobs that would be something like this problem. There's a job say being a bouncer, for example. I could do that on a good day. I could do that probably easily. I'm friendly. I'm not gonna hurt anyone, but I could do that. But then the problem with security is on a bad day, I'm not gonna do anything illegal, but I won't be on my wits about how to explain this. I'm always aware, but I won't be as I don't know how to say this. I don't want to have to deal with crap like that when I'm not slept a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. With a lot of jobs, you think about what an airline pilot does. They fly overseas with jet lag, or a firefighter has weird hours, or all these different jobs require hours, right? And because of my sleep disorder, having regular hours is very, very hard for me, despite having a very high IQ. So it's kind of like a curse for me to exist, to be honest. And I'm not trying to glorify myself on this channel. I'm literally just giving the most real, honest talk I can, in the hopes that other people will feel confident talking about their issues. Because I think when you talk about your issues and you attract other people who relate to you, that's just, you feel less alone. And if you feel less alone, then the world's less of a lonely place, because the world is a very lonely place. Even at the height of my popularity, I had many times of feeling loneliness. And loneliness comes in different forms as well. You can be lonely in a relationship, you can be lonely, outside of a relationship. There's different types of loneliness. But having a sleep disorder is just, it's the isolation. It's like having I almost feel like it's like having some sort of deformity. It's like people look at me differently, oh, there's something wrong with you, you can't sleep. And yeah, it's just, it's such a sad life that disorders like sleep exist, because just think for a second, when you sleep, you don't actually do anything. You just lie in your bed and your body does it for you. So for me, I can't do that. Try and swallow, but you don't know how to swallow. It's like that. I can't swallow. I can't sleep. It's the same thing as not being able to swallow. It's like if your heart stopped beating, or why don't you just start it up again? That's like me with sleep. I can't control. My brain does not put me to sleep. It's not my fault. And then I have this habit where I eat pasta to try and get me to. I don't. And then people sort of, I don't know. It's just a very hard life, And I think when you have depression, it makes it worse, because being sleep deprived with depression is the worst combination. It makes everything, all the things you've spent your life fighting, just come back to you in one big go when you can't sleep. So as a result of that, I tend to go out of my way to avoid being sleep deprived. And that can make me come across as lazy. Well, screw it. What are you going to do? But that's the thing. It's just so depressing. If society was a bit more flexible, with these things, I could be a great contributor to society, but society doesn't want that, And it's depressing because I don't control this disorder. So it's not me being lazy, I can't control it. And, it's one of the other reasons that really makes me see the world the way I do, because I've seen the nice side of people, and I've also seen the very mean side of people. And I've also seen how money can just buy you out of these problems. The thing is, right, really rich people I've known, they did not make fun of me for this disorder. I've never had a rich person tell me off for this disorder, ever in my life. They've never made fun of me, ever. But who has made fun of me? Poor people, middle-class people, and all that in between. So I have a very skewed view of rich people, because they've actually been very kind to me, believe it or not, despite having, extreme sleep disorder. The fact that even professionals don't know how to deal with it just proves how flawed professionals are to begin with, So what can you do? But I might make more videos on this topic in the future. And I know on YouTube I have to put out more videos. I know that's what you're supposed to do, apparently, I think. And no shame, just talking about life. Maybe in a future video I might break down, I might start screaming at the camera about, 9 to 5s or money or something. But yeah, until then, thank you very much, and see you in the next one.